Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Well, for me, it's morning. I don't know if it's morning for you. Aren't you so delighted to see my bare red face this morning? I'm going to demo the new Avon True Color Nude Makeup, Liquid Makeup, and also the concealer. I got this on Friday. Today is Monday, and I was gonna do a video of it on Saturday, but I was having one of my flare-ups from my arthritis, and one of the things that happens to me is I get like a rash type thing of red bumps all across my forehead. Sometimes I get it on this like my cheek, and you can see where I have a little bit still, and then on my forehead the redness has gone down, but the little bumps may still be there. I get that when my arthritis flares. It took me a really long time to figure out that that's what it was. I kept thinking it was a reaction to something, makeup or skincare or something, but finally I realized after doing some research that it was you know, related to my autoimmune disease, and I just had never experienced it before. It just all of a sudden started, but it's something that a lot of people go through with theirs, and it was new to me. So I'm kind of learning how to deal with it. It's a new thing. I've only been experiencing it for about a year, maybe a little over a year now. So I didn't wear any makeup on Saturday at all. And then yesterday I put a lot of aloe gel and stuff on there to soothe it and everything. So it's better today. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. So I am going to use the new True Color foundation and concealer for you guys today. And I'll show you, it says foundation with a soft matte finish that looks and feels like your natural skin with SPF 20 in it. Now it is a true matte. I mean, this, I wore this on Friday because I wanted to try it out so that after I demo it for you, I could tell you guys what I thought about it. And it is a true matte. It is a true matte foundation. I was kind of surprised because usually when Avon says something's matte, it's not. It's usually like semi-matte, demi-matte, something like that. And with the exception of their Perfect Matte lipsticks, they really don't have a lot of true matte products. This is matte. It's really true matte foundation. So if you have dry skin, this foundation is not going to be suitable for you. It is definitely for our the normal to oily skin, and I would say actually more so to the oily than the normal. But they have quite a selection of shades in that. I mean, it's pretty good. And the one I went for was Shell, which is like the third from the top as far as fairness goes. And then the concealer is a Ideal Nude Cream Concealer. It says lightweight yet full coverage. And I got the Fair in that one. So I'm going to show you guys what they look like before I'll swatch them first. So this is the concealer in Fair. It is very light, but I like it because it really brightened up my under eye area. And a little goes a long, long way with this stuff. I'm telling you. I was like, whoa, a little does go a long way. So that's the Fair concealer. And blend it out. That's what it looks like. I mean, that was just from that little dot. And there's a lot. So I'll wipe that off, and then I'll show you guys the Shell foundation. At first I was thinking, I don't know if that Shell was the right shade for me. I kind of debated on getting the pink beige. But I'm glad I went with the Shell because once I got it on, it was pretty good. Now this is a really liquidy, like, I don't know if you can hear that, but you can really hear it. It's very thin foundation. And so I'm just gonna put a little bit on my hand so you can see the shade. So that is the Shell, which I thought it might be too orangey, but once I get it on, it didn't look bad. So I do have some primer on my face already. I always wear primer just because I have such large pores. It really settles, makeup tends to settle into my pores. So I always wear a primer. Unfortunately, Avon's Magic's primer doesn't work for me. It doesn't give me pore coverage, but I still always use primer. So I'm going to go ahead, excuse me, and I'm going to put some on my face, and it is very thin. Now the coverage is like a light coverage. And I discovered when I used it on Friday that I needed a little bit extra in my cheek area. So put just another dot, just a little tiny dot on my chin. I have some redness going on there from I guess from my flare. And I know some people use the Beauty Blender or the Avon sponge. I can't because of my hands, I don't hold it very well. So I usually, this is the foundation brush that I usually use, and it's the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. If it looks wonky, it's because the handle broke and I glued it. I like this brush a lot, but yeah, so I don't know if that's going to focus. There we go. So that's the brush I use, and I just buff it all in, usually. And I am using the viewfinder as a mirror. I should have brought over another mirror just to have on hand so I could see what I was doing more. It doesn't really have a scent to it. It's kind of like a clean, soapy type scent. Actually, I'm going to grab my mirror, so I'm going to go off camera for just 1 second, you guys. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So, I just want to take a look at it up close and see if I can see any places where I need to rub it in more. So you can see that it really is a lightweight coverage. I mean, it's not a full coverage foundation at all, but it definitely mattified everything. Now for me, I think I'm going to put a little bit more just in the cheek area. Just because I have so much redness, you know, in my cheeks. It's crazy how red I get, especially when I'm going through one of my flares. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more there on the cheeks. Get it into the corners of my nose. And I think it's up good in my hairline. Okay. I know the lighting, I don't know if it's hard to tell in the viewfinder, but I'm comfortable with that. I think, yes, that's good. So here's my little bumps on my forehead. You can still see them, obviously, but they're not red. They're not bad. And now I'm going to go ahead and apply the concealer. And a little goes a long way. I just put like one dot under each eye, like a small dot. So that was my cat jumping down. Actually, maybe I'll do another one. And I'm just going to use my finger to pat that in. I should have done my nails before I did this video, but I just wanted to get going on it. I was anxious because I wanted to do it on Saturday, and like I said, I didn't because of my face was so broke out with that rash on my forehead. I don't usually get it on my cheeks. It just is my forehead and then occasionally down the left cheek here. And then every once in a while I might get one on the side of my nose, but the right side of my face never, it doesn't seem to do anything to the right side. So I think it really does a good job at brightening up a dark area. Now I realize I have the fair on, but yeah, it seems like it's all blended in there. Now, some people wouldn't even need a powder with this, but I do because I do tend to run oily. But it does not feel like I can touch my face and I don't feel tacky. Like when you put foundation on, you feel tacky, you know what I mean, from it. This doesn't feel like that. So, I mean, I would, if in a pinch or whatever, I don't think I would need to have to have a powder. But it's just in me to powder, you know. But I would say use very light touch when powdering, especially if you're more to the normal side than the oily side. So I am going to use the Avon Flawless Ideal Loose Powder. They still have this. It's available. It got discontinued and then they brought it back. This is the old one though. Loose powder lasts me forever. So I've had this for quite a while. But so I'm just going to go ahead and use that in the color Neutral. And I have a big fluffy brush, also from e.l.f. for that, the e.l.f. complexion brush. I like e.l.f. brushes. I know, I'm doing an Avon video. I should feel kind of like, why aren't you using Avon brushes? But, so I'm just tapping some in and brushing it off. I just like the e.l.f. brushes. They're very inexpensive and I think they hold up great. Plus on the chances that they do break down, get a little bit more. They're cheap, so it's not a big deal to replace them, although I always end up super gluing them if they do that. I have the under eye setting powder, and I usually use that, but I've been lazy and I haven't opened one up. So it doesn't take much powder to set this stuff at all, because it is so matte. So I think, yeah, I don't have any, there's no tackiness or anything. It's set. So I'm going to take a look and make sure that, yeah, I think it's good. Now, you know, I am having a day where I have, like, I've got a little bit right here from those bumps. So you can still see that. But I feel okay. Like, I would go out in public with this coverage. I don't feel like it's, you know, I don't feel naked. I don't feel like you can't see, like I'm glaring my blemishes or anything like that. I feel comfortable with it. I want to tell you guys, I wore this on Friday, so I've only worn it one day. I wore it, I put it on at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I took it off around probably 10 at night, and I checked it periodically throughout the day. Now, when my foundation breaks down, it's always here. It's like right around the tip of my nose and then right here. These are the areas. This little, like, it's like a V where my foundation breaks down. I didn't get any of that. I usually, a lot of times, my most common foundations that I use is Clinique. The one that looks like it has an applicator that's like a giant lip gloss. You know what I'm talking about? It's the foundation concealer in one. I use that one, and I use Urban Decay Naked Skin foundation. Both of those are my two favorite foundations to use. And I feel like this this True Color Ideal Nude Liquid, it did really well. I would say it was very comparable to the Urban Decay Naked as far as coverage goes and the lightweight feel of it. It's a little bit more matte than the Urban Decay Naked Skin. It's definitely not as thick as my Clinique Absolute. It's not Absolute even. I can't remember what it's called. The Clinique one that I use, the foundation and concealer in one. But that, I would say it was pretty comparable. There was a little bit more, towards the end of the night, this one was starting to look a little bit more dry than the Clinique looks on me. I was starting to see it clinging in areas of, you know, where I'm like not oily, you know what I mean? So like maybe a little bit around here, but that was after a good like 10 hours, you know what I mean, of use. So I was pretty impressed with it. The concealer, I didn't notice it settling in my lines any more than any other concealer would. I mean, I have wrinkles under my eyes. There's no concealer that doesn't settle. So I would say that this is definitely, right now the concealer that I use is the Sephora Serum Concealer. I like this just as well as that. And that's the absolute truth. So you know, as far as I'm concerned, this could be my concealer that I use when I'm done with my Sephora. I'll just keep replacing, you know, I'll use this because to me they were equally as good. So I'm really, really, really pleased with the concealer, especially the coverage I think that it gave and the brightening effect. Very, very pleased with the concealer, and I have no issue with the foundation. The thing is I had seen before the foundation, when it was debuting, I had seen a lot of reps on the Avon Facebook groups saying that this is the worst foundation they have ever used. And immediately I was thinking, okay, it's gotta be utter crap, or it's people that don't understand that you can't use it if you have dry skin. Once I used it, I realized that's what it is. These ladies that have been using it, they don't realize that it's not for people with dry skin or even necessarily normal skin. It's designed for oily women. And I think that that's really nice because if you have oily skin, you understand how frustrating it is, especially in the summertime, to put your foundation on and then 2 hours later you go check it and you look like an oil slick. And then you powder it and then it gets clumpy where you powder. It is so annoying to go through that. And this foundation is a true matte foundation. I think if you have oily skin, you will be very pleased with it and satisfied with it. I absolutely think that. So, yeah, I was... I was really impressed with it because, like I said before, in the past when Avon has used the term matte, I have found that it wasn't actually accurate. And this time it is matte. I mean, it's a real matte foundation. You can see that on my face right now. I have a flat canvas. If I want any highlighter to get any glow or anything, I'm going to have to put it on with powder, a highlighter, a shimmer, you know, something like that, because it's just completely, I have a matte canvas right here. So I like that. And it says truly mattifying on it. And I absolutely say that is 100% accurate. And that makes me really happy because it's nice that Avon is offering us a foundation for the oily skin girls. Finally, finally. I guess it just depends on what camp you're in, but I always feel like everything is targeted at the dry skin people. You know, all the products seem to be made for people with dry skin. And I'm like, what about us oily girls? You know, like what about us? But I guess the dry skin people probably feel that way about the oily skin people. But, it's truly made for oily skin customers, and I think it's great. You know, I absolutely think it's great. So I have actually seen reps saying that they were going to tell their customers not to purchase this foundation because it's the worst foundation that Avon has. And I put a little mini review up with a photograph on one of my Avon Facebook pages because I said, please don't tell your customers that. If they have oily skin, this might be the best foundation for them. Just because it didn't work for you. And there again, I think it lies in the fact that some Avon reps, not all, some Avon reps just are not as informed about cosmetics as they could be. And I think that sometimes the product sales suffer because of that. So I would say out of a 10, I would give it an 8.5, or at least an 8. And the only thing that stops it from being, you know, a 10 is the fact that the coverage is a little bit light for me, but it says right on here that it's feather light. So, I mean, I knew that going into it. It wasn't like it said it's full coverage. If it said it was full coverage, then I would say, okay, this is not true, but it doesn't say it. It just says it's light. So, and it does have that SPF of 20 in it, which I think is fantastic. So, the foundation you can find on page 5 of campaign 12, and it's an intro price of $8.99. And then the concealer is on page 4, and it is an intro price of $6.99. And they both have a very wide variety of shades also. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and finish my makeup off camera, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to film my campaign 12 video for you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and feel free to question or comment below, and I will see you coming back with campaign 12 in just a bit.